this is like the best day of my life. Like, I am so happy I can actually visually make this happen on the screen right now. I'm delivering two of my biggest passions ever, and it's really crazy because it's literally on the screen. So we have the psychotherapy couch, and then we have the kitchen, and the kitchen has literally been my lab for my whole life. And I was obsessed with nutrition, I was obsessed with fitness, with muscle, with lifting, and with baking. I loved baking. For me, baking was such a powerful way of conveying everything I wanted people to feel. When I was in high school, I started my first cupcake catering company. It was called Sweeter by the Dozen, and they were all tiny cupcakes that had different flavors. And I would spend so much of my blood, sweat, and tears into making these little baby cupcakes. And I was in school at the time, so I would have to wake up before school and then sell them. And I would just realize how my pattern to completely obsess and freak out about the quality of the babies, like the little baby cupcakes, it was really a confrontation. It was a major confrontation on who I was, my expectations of myself and of others, and this eating something that I felt ashamed of, like of being such a bad baker at times when this would happen to me. And I would end up eating the cupcakes that I made and feeling bad and ashamed that I could make something so bad, I would be eating that. I would be eating that energy, and it would feed off onto my results, and it was just a cycle. And I would have these periods of working so hard and periods of wanting to disappear. And so I was mostly a baker. I didn't really cook. But the kitchen has really been a difficult place for me. It has been like the bar to an alcoholic's version to me, It's like everything that I was most scared of was reflected in the kitchen, and then I would be consuming that as well. And it was very interesting to see how no matter how health conscious I got and how obsessed I got with food and what is healthy for me, then I started realizing that the way that I was eating it was the harmful part. The way that I was eating the food, the way that I was consuming it, because I was running away from the part of me that I felt was uncontrollable. Like Wolverine can devour everything, and it's just like this intensity freaked me out. And it was showing up with the food. And this is why it's such a beautiful thing, because it's not about the kitchen only. It's about being able to digest these emotions and everything that goes on with our relationship with food in a psychotherapy couch, and it doesn't have to be in the traditional sense of psychotherapy, but about looking at our character structure and why are we doing what we're doing, and what am I trying to not see? Like, what am I fooling myself about? So here we can't let this go unnoticed, because for me it was always like, oh, it is about the food. Like, no, obviously this is gonna make me fat, and obviously if I bake more and if I eat more. So it was like always that battle, but I didn't realize what was the driving force of all of this confusion. There's so much confusion, and this is why I realized we cannot have one without the other. Like, it's mind, body, nutrition. We focus on the mental health as much as the body health, because everything is stored in the body. But in the mental health, this is where we can start to understand the dynamics of our system, of our internal system. So I love to work with internal family systems, because it looks at different parts of our psyche, at the different versions of us as eaters. Because you could be eating a chocolate with Sally, and it's going to be completely different as eating a chocolate with, I don't know, Jesse. So it's a very different experience, and try to actually make the connection with someone. Like, think about eating a chocolate with someone that you really feel so good with, so comfortable with. Eating that chocolate, maybe doing like some little teasing, and then eating that chocolate with someone that is stressing you out and you just want them to be quiet, and just eating that chocolate, it becomes an aggression versus something that becomes a way of receiving pleasure. So here it's about the way that we are as eaters, who we are as eaters. This is what truly matters. Because if we just get stuck in the nutrition side of things, we are running away from who we are as human beings. So we need to see who we are as eaters and really start noticing our dynamics. And it's not about just changing the way that we eat, or maybe not even changing it at all, but to be looking at this part of the psyche of where everything is happening, how this is manifesting this. And this is so amazing for me right now because it's so easy to combine it. And it's always been like polarities for me. So being able to combine the polarities into a way that makes us feel good, like this is where we are, where do I want to be, like where am I being pulled right now? And it's all an alchemical process, and food can be the most incredible way to heal ourselves. Because think about it, you're adding, and not just an intention, but we're adding a vibration, which is also pet peeve for me but like we're adding ingredients, right? We're adding ingredients into what we're consuming. And if I add sugar and I'm so stressed out and I don't know how much should I add, it's not gonna be the bliss spot because I cannot connect with my center. When I connect with my center, when I can pause before this anxiety and just allow myself to sit there, look at the fear like deer in the headlights, just looking at that and that precious image, just be with that, and then the answer will come. And I love that expression of the deer in the headlights. Like, this is this friend of mine said it earlier this week, and it was like, yeah, it's a precious moment, And when we can just look at fear that way and sit and just pause just a little bit, when everything feels like it's gonna implode, explode, just pausing a second and then realizing what we're about to consume, can we be more intentional in the way that we're gonna consume it instead of having a sort of lashing out onto the food, which we then consume? So does it make sense of how it's not really about the food, but about how it's about the way that we're eating the food? Because it's a message to ourselves. So I really am so excited to start this podcast version. So I want it to be a podcast and I want it to be videos, and to really talk about this idea of soulful eating, soulful living, and what's it mean to step into our personal and metabolic power, because it's again who we are as eaters. So I'm just gonna be releasing a series of videos and maybe introducing this work more, because it's a very specialized, like it's a very niche work, because these are just things that I loved and just really made sense for me to combine. And I really want to focus on those of us who just feel so not okay with struggling with food because we have everything. And others would say we have the perfect body, we have the perfect personality. Stop it. We have the perfect home, we get to travel, you're beautiful. What are you even complaining about? Like, have you seen me? So it's just like this constant comparison that is a silent killer. And not being able to talk about this with anyone is an internal ticking bomb that keeps on exploding, but the big explosion hasn't happened yet, because we just don't know what's going on. And it could be really shameful to be like, okay, I'm skinny But I'm obsessing about what's inside that fridge right now. I'm obsessing, and I can't tell anybody about it because they're gonna think that I'm crazy. And I can't accept the fact that I'm crazy because I have this image that I wanna show the world. So it just becomes a huge battle. But because our parts that are so driven to, to ambition, to do things, to be a leader, to, to hustle and to go, like, it's just like we are going to find ways to shut that up. So we find things to do to shut that up, but it's still inside. And the reason why it's inside is because it's a messenger that can't go back to his emperor because he's gonna get his throat sliced if he doesn't get the message through. And that is sort of like what I see as our wake-up call. This is not easy work. It's really, really not easy. It's the most confronting thing I've done in my life, and I say that with a big 300%. Like, this has been the most confronting thing ever. It's made me rethink the way that I see every little thing. But that is the gift of our compulsions, right? Because the moment that we react to something, we're not being with what's going on with life because of the fear. So this work is my meditation, it's my prayer, it's my everything. It's my way of staying connected to something that is so difficult for me to go through. And I want to reach that person that is finding it so difficult to just keep on silencing these thoughts because it's causing so much internal conflict. And seeing that as a disorder is not doing justice. It's not doing justice because it's a wake-up call for ourselves. So I want to share everything that I've been learning throughout this whole process, going through hell inside out, and it's all in my mind because, again, I can hear that voice like, you're so privileged, like, how do you even say this? But it's not on what's being seen because we all have our reality. And the point isn't to moralize and say that my reality is better because I never complain and you have a worse life. It's not about that. It's about what's making us feel I can be here without feeling the need to run away and hide or fight and just not be here. So it's a confrontation, and I want to be able to really provide that holding for you from all of the trainings that I've done and my background and my continuous education in this, because it's a constant looking at the diamond from different angles. So I'm so excited to be sharing this with you, and all I ask is that you reach out for whatever you want to know more about. You can DM me, you can contact me on my email, and just tell me, just even with just curiosity, if it's something that you don't know that you're struggling with or not. But really, if you feel that you are struggling with this a little bit, if we stay silent about it, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to make us a better person. It's just going to keep on shoving this shit under the carpet. And it's a great exploration. Like, I'm a big fan of seeing, well, it's not that I'm a big fan of, like, this is my requirement to really see what my client, where they're at, and what's really important here. Is this a battle with the food? Is this a battle in their relationship? Is it a battle in their career? Is it a battle in their constant patterns, egoic patterns that we're doing the same thing over and over again because of a huge fear that we have? So it's about listening, right? You listening to the challenge that you're going through, and me listening to you in that challenge that you're going through, and deciphering that slowly, like seeing what's going on. And it's so powerful. And here, as a podcast, I want to be answering whatever curiosities, whatever questions, whatever struggles. My big passion between eating and psychotherapy. So the psychology of eating, the psychology of being you, the psychology of relationships, and magic in general. Thank you.